Hi.
Hey.
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. What about you?
You good?
Yeah.
Doing great. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So we're taking a break from pre-production, which is now almost production. We're kind of like transitioning as we speak. Hey, everyone. So we are here for a lore Q&A today. So we got a bunch of questions from the community. Thank you, everyone, as always, for your involvement and interest in the fantasy worlds that we build together. We got a lot of questions, so we try to kind of bunch them together under certain like themes, so we can kind of like, even if we don't get your question directly, I'll do my best to include sort of like broader responses to sort of try to speak to everything. I'll also be playing the messenger, just so we have something in the background. Okay, there's no jump scare like last time, no surprise. Reshan drop. There's no ARG going on. It's really just so there's like something to look at, and
I won't have to leave the room suddenly.
Yeah. just so there's something to while we sort of ramble about this and that. I'll probably be as terrible as always at playing our own games, but I'll do my best. So hope everyone is doing well. Hi guys, thanks for making video games. Well, thank you, Aim Pine. Okay, so, all right. Well, I mean, we have more people than I thought. So I guess are we good to go? As always, we try to be mindful to contain these to maybe like a 45-minute, so that the VOD makes sense and it doesn't feel like too much to chew at if someone wants to look at it later on. But real quick, Matt, how have you been? How's it going? How are things?
Yeah, things have been smooth. It's good to come back to the office after a whole month. Huh?
Oh yeah. That was pretty good. That felt great. It was a first in I don't know, like 9 years at this point. At Sabotage. It's like it felt very very good, very special. And now it sucks because now we're working on something we can't like talk about yet. So like we're excited. So we talk about it together, but now we have to kind of, let's let this be about what's publicly known for today, or for the next hour at least.
Yeah, and you were maybe expecting to see us in a new setup, new background.
Oh right. Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're still working on a few details to get the new stream room going.
I guess we'll probably take pictures or do like a video tour of the studio, because we added a bit of space, mostly for like playtesting, and playing references and hanging out. And we also have a dedicated room right now that's more for like streaming or music composition, or just because we only have the one meeting room, which gets a bit annoying at times. But it doesn't have a door yet. We thought we would have the door by now. We were waiting on that to finish up. There's just no door, so we reused the old room for one last time. Yeah. Hopefully we get a door soon.
Which is not so bad. So.
Yeah, that's a good room. So
great. So do you want to get into questions right now?
Yeah, sure. I'm ready.
Because as Thierry said, we got a lot. So thanks you guys once again for all the questions. We can start with one from Zenith. Was asking even if we can't get a final slice of Sea of Stars, what would it have been? And
oh wow, okay.
So
we're starting with a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. We're probably, there's always it's always this thing, right? Our art is never finished; it's only surrendered. So as you know, there's things we would like to do, things we would have liked to do in the first place, things we might like to add. But also it's been a long time, and so we're mostly going, we're following sort of the fire, if you will. And so, we're excited about some of the things that were left maybe unsaid in the game that we felt could complete it. But it seems like where most of the team's interest is at right now is moving on to, I almost said it, Project Spyro, aka Game 3. So that's what everyone's focused on right now, and everyone is really more motivated to sort of work on that and sort of keep at it. So it feels like we'll be leaving Sea of Stars where it's at. Having said that, I suppose we could share what it would have been. It's not something we'll do now because it's kind of a big thing to get into and only raises more questions, which we're trying to answer questions today. So maybe we can pin that for later as kind of like more of just a fantasy thing of Yeah, almost leaking. Hey, doing great 5 minutes in, right? A bit too excited.
Yeah. Well, talking about Project Spyro, is it about Mahjong?
If it's about Mahjong,
Yeah.
the
Sadib wanted to know if it's about Mahjong.
no, it's not.
It's not? Okay.
Spoilers.
Yeah, is there any other hint that we can like just discuss about Project Spyro? Maya was asking.
Right. Well, I think the hints are there, and people have guessed about every single genre at this point, so they probably got it at some point down that line. But no, we won't be really hinting much. It's going to. I mean, it's still in the same universe. It will expand or add meaning or layers of understanding to what's in our previous games. They're meant, as you know, they're meant to kind of fit together as a whole, and you can kind of like peel back. And hopefully you could have played Messenger or Sea of Stars in any order, and they both have sort of like, you don't feel left out, but you also have added value if you're in the know. So next game is in a similar vein. Yeah, should. Yeah, I'll leave it at that because if I keep talking,
Yeah, it might leak.
I'm we're really too excited about it, so I need to be careful.
Great. Let's get back into Sea of Stars then.
Yes.
So, is the Shardwa wanted to know if the Solar Solstice Warrior that sealed the Torment Peak was the same one as the Lucent Rogue Solar Solstice Warrior.
Well, I mean, yes, but like the thing is also after losing like his lunar counterpart, which kind of caused the whole like spiral. But yeah, there won't be more about this later in any capacity. So yeah, so there you go.
Good. Zenith also wanted to know if we'll get more beasts in our lives at some point, or in other games.
Well, he'll always be in our hearts, but yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah,
that's for the future. Stamui wanted to know as well is if there's something where we thought to ourselves that, oh man, it would have been really fun to add this to the game, but we had to scrap it for one reason or another. And as an example, if we had to sacrifice a joke or a cool idea in order to make sure that the gameplay doesn't suffer from it.
Well, there was a whole thing. Like at first, we were working on a physicalized ocean in like 2D isometric view. And I think I talked about this at some point before. It would have been kind of like a Tony Hawk Pro Skater, like isometric, where as you're like sailing, you can jump off the waves and do spins and flips, and that gives you like a speed boost and everything. And the boat actually had a grappling hook to like grab stuff, and in the overworld, you would need to use that to navigate to get to other places. And it became obvious pretty quickly that like, yeah, you don't want to get lost into that type of a game loop when it's completely irrelevant. You'd rather get to the next objective and everything. So yeah, still a cool idea in theory, I believe, but yeah,
nice.
Both with a grappling hook. I mean,
that's something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maya was asking as a general question, why was the text of the game revised? Was this in response?
Oh yeah, the latest update. Right.
In June. Was this in response to some critics or just out of personal dissatisfaction or anything else?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. So that's I think one of these questions that encompasses a lot of them in terms of the details. I would say like the main reason was it. What was the question? If it was because of criticism, I wouldn't say
in response
directly.
To, yeah.
I wouldn't say directly, but it's. So there's a couple of things. So let me try to unwrap this.
Yeah.
So the first thing to consider is there's always going to be critics or feedback about your game. In our position, depending on what platform you look at, we sit between 85 and 90%, positive from like users and review sites and everything. So it's understood that you're going to get 10 to 15% of negative impressions, but like really it's not broken if you're that much in the positive with like a high player count. And so, but that being said, you can still read impressions and you can be like, oh, does that resonate? And is this person speaking to something we meant like to land? Maybe it didn't land. Can we read between the lines here and sort of understand why? And so there's a couple things there when it comes to why do the sort of like the, I would just call it the edit pass. In our view, it was for a narrative flow, right? Maybe having to press a little less buttons before the story moves on, but also, so I would say the main reason is it's a matter of, I would call this sort of like a frequency, right? Some of the people that we see in the spoilers channel, they get really into the lore and they want to understand the motivations, and they play the game for like the 7th time and they're like, oh, now I understand why they chose that word specifically when saying this or that. That's because a lot of the story Sea of Stars presents as like very light, but the depth is in the nuance and it's between the lines. And part of what we could see in the feedback is that for some people, that deeper part is completely lost, you know, and that's just a matter of, is this where you resonate? Is this where you read and take things in terms of a story? And so for me, a big part of that edit was removing sort of the top layer of it being very like lighthearted and simpler, because some people will see sort of that surface and stop there and never look below. So the idea was to kind of tune everything so that it's more likely for more people to see what's underneath. But again, you can only please some of the people some of the time, so it's not going to be a unanimously like celebrated change. But I'm personally very, very happy with it. And so part of what it was also, I want to say, is that because I looked at the spoilers channel to see what was being pointed out, was being discussed. And the one thing is like, yeah, okay, let's have a healthy like doubt. Does that miss the mark? Does that like remove value or anything? And the one thing I noticed is that essentially none of the changes were discussed or reported in context. It was essentially a text file, comparison, which is fine. It's fair. It's what someone stumbled upon and reacted to. That's okay. But where they live and where they shine and where they make sense is in context. So I'll try to give an example. Because I was talking with the mods the other day about this specific example. Imagine we're playing a scene together and you're about to leave, and I say, hey, I care about you, I'm gonna miss you, and I hope you'll be fine, and then you leave. And then we're thinking, we want to do kind of like a show don't tell. So instead of saying that, I'm going to put a scarf around your neck, I'll kiss you on the forehead, and I'll pat your shoulder while you leave, right? So if you look at that scene, you can probably feel through the acting that we're saying the same thing, maybe with a bit more nuance, with maybe a bit more place for interpretation by the audience. But the notion that I care or whatever, and that there's a connection between us is still there. Now, what happens if you only look at the text change? Well, it used to say this and now it says nothing. So you would think that all the value of the relationship was simply deleted. So that would be sort of like my general answer to the edits. I understand that on their face as a text file, it can look like something or it can feel like something, and it's totally valid. But looking at them in context is really where it's at. So in the future, I suppose we'd like to see, here's a before or after video or something like that. And there's a lot to discuss there. But I think for everyone who really like to peel back what we make and really look at the finer details, we added, maybe I could pull up my log with Cal, who's our integrator. I think it was like a 1,200 like single points of like, okay, so we're removing the ... here, but instead she's going to stare to the right, take a pause, and then take a step forward before talking. And so these things were all an effort in show rather than tell and adding nuance. Now, having said that, I would say there's possibly 3 main ones. So there's a general question about maybe some lore explanation, being an integrator. Yes, it's an actual role. So reptile. Sorry, I just saw the chat. So integrator is a role. So an animator will make an animation, a gameplay coder will code the behavior on a character, and sometimes an integrator will hook the assets to the game. So what Cal does is mostly working in graphs, right? Linking logic and timers and everything. So, we pull this line from the dialogue, and then we start the music, and then the camera shakes a little bit, and then someone comes in. All of these things speak to integration or implementation of the cutscenes. Yeah, and so from there, there are things like lore explanations. One that came up was the Coin of Undeath Accord, right? It used to be, oh, I need the Coin of Undeath Accord. What is it? And then the mechanic behind it is explained. So that was part of the exercise in attuning the viewer more towards nuance rather than what's overt, so that they don't only look for what's overt. By it not being directly explained, because in that moment Valar only cares about her quest, like sure, whatever, we'll get your coin, I just want to get to that other island. But then later we see the coin being used on the undead, and the ferryman will say, oh, the compelled undead complies, and it's understood the coin has been spent, she can't use it later and everything. So all of that is still there, but it's more for you to go and get rather than it being more on the nose. Yeah, so then I would say, and so everything that speaks to, exclamation marks, it's really to kind of like sort of dim the lights a little bit, so there's more nuance, and we see more of the stuff that was less, obvious for some. And also all the ellipses or whatever that have been removed, most of these edits were well, not most, all of them are done through sort of like acting or movement of the characters. Then there's the two main ones, I suppose. There's Yolande for sure, and there's which that one was honestly came mostly from feedback, and another one would be Tormund Peak is a big one, and I do have a concession to make for Lucent when Zale and Valar are talking before Gal wakes up. So let's look at Yolande. Yolande was essentially. Still funny to me, obviously. But what happened with her, sort of like her direct fourth wall dialogue was that, and that one mostly came from feedback. I would ask friends, and usually that feedback, because online you're like, someone's anonymous, you don't know how old they are, where they come from, the types of games that they like. And you're also keeping in mind the general review or appreciation for the game. But I had some really good conversations around it with people that could sort of nuance that argument and see both sides and everything. And where I ended was that it's too much too soon. Like you're still kind of like taking in the game, and it's too far from what you're kind of looking for. You're looking forward to getting into, and you can kind of check out at that moment. And it's mainly for the reason that she's on the main path as well. And so I would say that in short, in terms of rhythm, it's like the game hasn't earned yet by that point, sort of like the right to do a job like this. But she still does have the line about the elixirs, which seems to be sort of like the proper serving, and it's also more as like a side thing that she's talking about, and not like, hey player, put the controller down, I need to get through my bit. And also I had a lot of fun just writing like pirate tall tales again to kind of still make them really grandiose and silly. But yeah, so that's where that's at for Yolande. As far as I mentioned another
Tormund
one. Oh
Peak.
yeah, Tormund Peak.
Yeah.
Ooh la la. Oh yeah, that's a big one. Okay, that's the one where we might have to disagree to agree, but I was supposed actually to remove that before the because there was also another general question about like kind of why 2 years later or whatever. It's like honestly it was. All of those edits were there in some capacity before the game launched. It's just that there's always something else to do, and it's never that, life or death that you're like, yeah, maybe later, and it's like, oh, let's design co-op, let's implement co-op, let's work on the DLC. And so that update came because it's like, we're never going to touch the game again past a certain point, and so it's now or never. And for the legacy of the game, right, we're still seeing numbers on Messenger. It's been, 7 years now, almost? Yeah. It'll be like 7 years in, I guess, 2 weeks. And so, like, we understand that these games are sort of, there's something evergreen about these retro games, or at least, the crowd that we're blessed with. And so it's more about thinking, like, yeah, what was funny on the moment, and then what kind of, like, makes sense if you look at someone is going to pick it up in, like, 6 years, right, or something. What did they come across, and how's it more likely to connect with them? So, yeah, for Tormund Peak, basically it was... is because when you think about it, as I know some of you like to really do, you like to kind of, look at all the angles of the story that's being told. It's really kind of nothing, right? It's all like self-contained. It's like, oh no, it erases memories, but here's the solution. So, like, why is it a thing if we just instantly resolve it the moment that we hear about it? And why it was there in the first place, because as some of you know, if you've been following us for a long time, Torment Peak is one of the first things we worked on, right, for the Kickstarter demo. And so in production, Jungle Path is the first thing that we did. And so all the story that had to do with it, the memory loss aspect of Torment Peak was core to what the adventure would look like. I don't want to get lost too much in what it would have been, but the idea is that it actually served a function in the game. And now it's just kind of like a cool, let's bake a souffle and then throw it in the trash instead of eating it, right? Because it's like I tell you about it and then we remove it. So it's kind of like we can just skip that whole part and not have to worry or occupy mental space and focus on our adventure and our objective instead. Now, I still agree that it's a very cool device, and it's not that it doesn't, like, on some level suck to, like, see it go. But in terms of focusing on the adventure, that should have been more of like a side story or something through the Lord Grimoire that's been resolved since then, or something like that. Another thing too I also liked the opportunity to tell a bit more about other Solstice Warriors in the past and not idealizing their thing too much. Oh yeah, the monkey butts. Yeah, it's also a silly line from the demo that I was like, nah, that doesn't really fit the tone of the game. I just never got around to it, but yeah. Though I do miss that one as well, to be honest, but I still think it's better without it. Sorry, I'm like half looking at the chat. And here's another one that I did end up editing out before the game released, was around Reshan and the Vial of Time, right? And it's another case of like, sort of like over-explaining this when we can just focus on the adventure might be a better call. Was the whole thing of fetching the Vial of Time used to be that you fetch it, and he's like, great, this is actually a bottle to put your boat in, which is how we would explain physically in the world that, you know how your boat appears and disappears whenever you, like, does it like teleport or whatever? Because up to that point in the game, the only way to get back in the boat would have stayed there on the map, and by the time you have that bottle, it would go in the bottle instead, which is how you can like deploy and grab it kind of like a Pokeball or whatever. And then it's like, well, didn't you need your Vial of Time? He's like, no, I have it right here, of course. I never would let April get I just let him believe he had it or whatever and say. That was a whole other thing that I thought, that's pretty cool about Reshan, that he wouldn't actually lose his Vial, and he kind of made us do that. There's still a function to it or whatever. But so it's all part of like, what do you want to tell as a high level, like cool story with gimmicks that you think are interesting, and then what's actually sort of like relevant and tactile for the player. Yeah, and so last I will say on that is the Lucent bit. While Gal is sleeping, and they talk about, you're the feisty one with fire, which is Valér's denial that leads into her feisty arc in the DLC and everything. But I do agree that I cut a little too deep with that one. The part about them being like opposites, and that meaning that they're a good team that will return. So we're re-adding those two lines. But I'm still kind of partial to not having the live mana bit, because I feel it's kind of too meta a little bit, even though it does make some players smile that like, yeah, I do that, and you're kind of calling me out. So I read a good argument on Discord about including that as well. So feel free to let me know. We can leave. The part of being a team is definitely returning, and then the part about live mana, we'll leave it up to a community vote.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I guess that was a long ramble, but that for those interested in like the thought process and how we do things, because sometimes it's like, and I understand some people react. It's like, nah, we don't throw these things over the fence. We don't we overthink. Like, you have no idea. We do version A, B, C, and D. We have a meeting. 5 people chime in. Pros and cons and everything. We do something, we try it, we redo it, and so anyway. So it's a lot, but hopefully that was a good summary and a good look into what we do here.
Yeah, I think so. I've seen in the chat a few people mentioning that they'll go back and see the changes in context in the game. So
great!
So that's good to read.
Oh, sounds amazing.
Yeah, nice. Cool.
Nice.
So and we'll monitor as well the feedback for the opening that you left for one of the lines. But
sure.
Yeah. So thanks. We can continue with the question from Misk wanted to know
Hello, Misk.
one of the requirements for the Great Eagle transformation spell was a soul of a hybrid.
Oh no.
Does this mean that the birdmen were at some point humans that were turned into hybrids?
All right.
Or does the hybrid term refer to any humanid that is an anthropomorphic animal?
Right. Yeah, it's more like. Sorry, I think I was too loud there. Yes, it's the second one. So like Molekins would also be, you know, or even maybe the Cunus Nuku acolytes, though we'll sadly won't be seeing more about them. But yeah. It refers to the second definition you gave there.
Nice. Starolit was also asking about if there's a connection between the Eldermist Trials location and Cloud Kingdom.
Yes.
Because the architecture and some of the plants look similar.
Yeah, at first it was going to be one of these like resolve moments where while you're doing the air Skyland, you realize, oh, I just entered through the back door through that like place from the beginning. But it's more as the lore behind Elder Mist became a bit more defined. I was like, yeah, let's do Dream World, but we still wanted to have sort of like that ether. If he's going to be tied to one of the elements, he's definitely air.
Cool. We got quite a few questions about ovates, so maybe we can get into those.
Okay.
What does it take to become an ovate, or does it vary from person to person?
Well, I can't really speak to how ovates come to be in the first place, because that's a story for another time. But it does, and it seems like there was the time of the ovates, right, in the past. I think that seems to be understood as far as the lore of our world goes. So it seems like there was a time where they were kind of like all the rage, and then that time is now over. And it seems to be possible to become an ovate by deed, which would be what happened to Meliora, which in her case she awakened more than anything, and Gal, when he made that big change with the big bread.
And is death an ovate as well?
Death?
Death, yeah.
Like if there's an ovate of death?
Yeah, that's what Simply Resharkable wanted to.
Literally in those words, no.
No. Cool, and as a second part to that question is, did Zell and Valar became or becomes ovates at any point?
No. So it wasn't. So their deeds didn't come from the heart. They're protectors, but they didn't shape or change the world. They didn't influence like through their will, from the heart, from passion, and or sacrifice. They played their roles as and ascended into guardians, but they didn't. It wasn't their volition, their will, their inner voice that affected change. It was their accepting of responsibility.
Nice. I think I have another one. Yes.
Yeah, no, sorry, that was that was gnarly. But yeah, go on. I'm listening.
Yeah.
Ooh,
what
nice.
does? Oh, what happened?
No, I was sort of good at the game.
That's
for
sort
a
of
moment there.
And what does Reshawn want that? Why does he want that ovate title for anyway?
Right. Yeah. Well. They seem to go somewhere when they die that seems to maybe open up possibilities or not, and he may or may not be interested in some of that.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that.
All right.
We should have left it earlier than that. But, yeah.
Great. Well, maybe some more studio updates as well that we can get into. The Train wanted to know if we're planning to take Project Spyro through the Kickstarter funding route, as we did with Sea of Stars.
Not at the moment. Like where we're at right now is that it seems like it would be kind of like a very cursed position to be in, that like it's successful and then it's like, hey, can you fund us? And it's kind of like the genuine reason why we would do it is to kind of like build hype as more of like a marketing beat, or like, hey, are people excited about the next game? And do we want to sort of like have the community as we develop it, sort of like push updates and get feedback as we go? But I think there's no way where it wouldn't feel like it's, you know, an ask of something when we're already fine, which we are. So it feels very, very unlikely. And it's certainly not the plan at the moment. So we're good in terms of like as you know, Sea of Stars did amazing, and so for us, so we're good. Like we can fund the next game. It's not that we're close to like a partnership if it makes sense, if it brings something to like distribution or what we want to make. But it wouldn't be a matter of you know, like budget or finances per se. So we're not saying a definite no to anything, but at the moment we're transitioning from pre-production to production. And so it's really too early. We like to have the blinders on, you know, it's just us, just the dev team, working on the next thing and really getting excited about, you know, gameplay, rendering and all of that. And at some point, the more like business or publishing layer will come in, and we'll give that due consideration when that time comes, and that's wherever the landscape will be. You know, I don't even know that we would, given the same situation with Sea of Stars, but like 5 years later, would we still make a Kickstarter? Would it be something else that makes sense today in the same situation? We don't know. We look at it when we're there, and we call it as best we can.
Yeah, and it's always fun to read. Like we know that the community would be happy to get involved and to help with the funding. So we always appreciate you guys wanting to help. But
we'll keep you all posted.
Oh yeah, for
regardless,
sure.
That is for certain. Yeah,
that's for sure. And Finn wanted to know if, because April 2026 will be here soon, which will be 10 years for Sabotage Studio.
Oof. You feel old yet?
Yeah. And I wanted to know if there's any special events that we're planning or something for celebration.
I don't know about special event. Like we really just like to, you know, work on games together. So, but yeah, I mean, 10 years is seems like a fun milestone. I know there's a lot of demand for certain things that we might look at. But yeah, we'll see. We'll for sure. We'll celebrate. I mean, you know. But yes, it's a you know, you set out with your buddy to be like, hey, let's make this like stupid thing, and then, you know, yeah, it's been 10 years. So
yeah, crazy, right?
What a time.
And another question that I think we probably get this one each time we do a Q&A, but do we have any plans to offer merch, like Sabotage Studio merch, any clothing item maybe, or something in
maybe ask us when we're celebrating 10 years. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Might be part of it.
Mayhaps. We have some good T-shirts, I hear.
Yeah, we like to wear them, but
Mommy, yeah, they came from somewhere. But.
Cool. We can get back into more deep Sea of Stars lore.
Let's go deep.
Yeah. Concerning regarding the dwellers, are the emotions tied to a dweller real? Or are they all the same negative emotion suckers with the names being given?
Are the emotions real?
Yeah, are they?
Dread is real, unfortunately, from time to time. So the question is like whether the name,
for example, is like for WoW can truly only feed off of WoW, or
okay.
Like,
so if does the name actually like physically or like in reality have to do with how the dweller kind of like operates? Yes. So there would be like, not that it's necessarily a similar fashion in how they were crafted, but it could be similar to the music notes, right? It's kind of like when there's enough of a certain emotion, it can kind of like reach a fever pitch of intensity that creates density, and then it gives something abstract a physical form in a way. So yes, woe was born of woe and embodies woe and carries woe and causes woe and eats and sleeps woe.
And Proud Devotee had a second question about dwellers, which is, are dwellers and primals related in any way?
Other than a loose similarity to what I just spoke to regarding also the music notes, no. So primals aren't made by the Fleshmancer, for example, and they don't have a seed of evil, they don't have a core. I'm sorry, I got nothing more.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's it.
Mocha was asking, how did Mirth merge with Mesa Island when, as we see in Sea of Stars, they are two different islands and are separated by sea. But I guess it ties in with the Messenger, which because we see the sunken shrine in the Messenger.
Oh yeah. Oh, do we? Wow. What? Big spoilers. Oh yeah, of course. So, well, how did it merge? I don't know that it did. I mean, so there could be some drifting, a little bit, because these things are very far apart. If you think about the Pangea, right? It's like, well, how did, this continent drift there? It's like, well, the short answer is over time. But also in terms of the Sunken Shrine drifting to merge with Mesa Island, I don't know that I wouldn't necessarily say that it did. I think in Messenger, what happens is you go through when you go through the underwater labyrinth, maybe that bit it might have made a bit more sense if it were a bit longer of a stretch. But the idea of that kind of like Lost Woods gameplay is that you're traversing underwater for a good while. So essentially, I'm not saying it necessarily spans the whole distance that you see in Sea of Stars. There could still be some like movement because of all the cataclysm that went on. But the way, like to give a very basic answer from the creative standpoint, the way I would picture it is, yeah, you do actually swim from underwater to wherever it's at compared to Mesa Island.
Great. Pavla wanted to know how immortal are Reshan and Eforil exactly. We know they're not very. Do they they wanted to know if they need to do they need to eat, sleep, and stuff like that, or
okay,
they're
right.
like
No, they're more like, you can think of like mummies or your boy Barbosa. It's kind of like this they don't feel, they don't the body is kind of like at a standstill, and it's kind of like still decaying, but there's no sort of like life function to it. So they're immortal in the sense that they won't die of age, and also like biologically they're kind of like immune to everything, but they could still, they're not invincible, right?
Cool. Sadzib wanted to have more like an explanation around like everything around Garl's resurrection and how the chronophage allowed beasts to take Garl's place, and how how this works.
Yeah. Ooh la la. Maybe at some point I could draw this one. Do we get into that? Maybe I can pull up the whiteboard and be like, so you die here, and then your friend. I tried to answer it literally one time, and it didn't really work. Which is, everything happened exactly as it was presented. So from Gal's point of view, he got hit, was about to die, drank borrowed time, did what he did, made the bread, everything. Became an ovate, which seemed to kick into whatever happened after that he says he saw, and also sort of like opened the gate for him to sort of return. Now, the way to do that is you don't want to create a time paradox, right? -1 + 1, there can only be one of anything at any time. And so they kind of like swapped who is who in reality, right? because Gal is obviously buried under the tree. So by using the time loop, you can bring a copy because his body stayed in the world, his soul went to. More on this later, maybe not. And so there was a body swap required for his soul to re-enter. And then you fetch the other body. I'm absolutely certain that it will still be annoying. But yeah, that's
the thing with time travel.
Well, yeah, stuff, yeah. It's not even that it's necessarily time travel, but it's really the it's like space travel more than time travel. But yeah. But anyway, well, you know, I don't think there's any explaining that one. Maybe it doesn't make sense, and we don't know what we're doing. That's also a proper explanation. It's possible it only makes sense in my head, but maybe I'll try to draw it sometime. That could be fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. We have another question from Misk, who is being locked in the Zenith Academy a standard procedure in the Solstice Warrior training, or is it change introduced by Moraine? So were Erlina and Brogaves subjected to the same rule as Valer and Zell?
Right. Well, so you know, it takes a village, right? And there used to be one in terms of like just who lives in Zenith Academy. So it's not so much that you're locked in, more that it was a lot more fun to inhabit because it was full, it was rich, it was full of people. You can tell how many beds there are and everything, and a lot of the space is like empty and unused. And that's because Moraine, like there was an entire legion of them when the big thing with Strife happened and they lost Moyara and everything, and he had to step up as headmaster, and he didn't want that role. He was grieving, he never was able to grieve, so he was a poor educator for the next generation and everything. And no, that's really him just coping and creating a bad cycle there. Space travel more than time travel sounds like it helps a lot. Okay.
Well,
hey, we fixed it. It's officially over.
We can go maybe for last question. We're pretty much in the 45-minute range that we were going for. So. Emily Liddle wanted to know if we'll be adding trading cards and consequentially badges to Sea of Stars on Steam.
Who's that,
Emily Liddle.
Didn't she make like an amazing Rashan like yesterday?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, love your art, Emily. No, but so sorry, what was the question?
If we'll ever be adding trading cards and or badges to Sea of Stars on Steam.
I don't think so. We're kind of like, for us, everything that feels like more like kind of like outside of the game, or it seems to kick into kind of like a currency outside of.
Yeah.
We tend to like our sort of like it's just a game, you know. I wouldn't say that we're necessarily opposed to it. I personally don't really dabble into any of that, and it's not really something that we sort of like look at. But if it would be fun to do, and like you all would like to see us consider it, I mean, yeah, feel free to kind of raise it, or I don't want to impose on anyone's time, but if anyone feels like kind of like explaining like, hey, why could that be fun, and what can it look like in the game you feel did it right, yeah, I mean, we can look at that for sure. We're just here to party, you know.
Yeah, and someone in the chat is asking if we're looking at the stuff on the Discord, and of course, like we're always like when we see some new fan art and that's posted
absolutely
on the Discord, we're always there to we're often sharing stuff on Slack to the team to make sure everyone sees all the amazing art that
we do, right? So we use Slack for internal like communication with the team, and we have channels for each of our projects and everything, and we share that stuff, and we
most of it is on our walls actually in the office as well. We had a lot of fan art, so we're seeing all that stuff for sure.
Oh yeah.
So that's most of it. We got pretty much. We have more, but we'll have to keep some maybe for for next time.
Sure, yeah.
Since we want to keep the VOD not too long and stuff, but hopefully we got most of the important ones, and
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So okay, all right. So I guess this is it. Well, thanks everyone, and it will likely be a while, right? Because we're like before we have anything to announce, it will be a long time, and I don't think there's gonna be like other updates right now. Because again, and it's back to maybe the last question about doing kind of like other stuff is. Anything we're doing is we're not working on the next game, which is really like the main thing we're excited about and we want to work on. And ultimately, even though maybe we're excited for some more things like as soon as possible, where it's really at is like, hey, you're going to get a reveal trailer for our next thing that we're building, and you'll eventually get to play that. And that probably can't come soon enough, right? So we'll probably be avoiding a lot of. That's been also. Some things we've been talking about more on the business side. It's fun sometimes to do these other collaborations or other things or opportunities, but it's like, but focusing on our core, on our main craft is kind of also where it's at. So, but anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you liked the Q&A and.
Yes, always fun. It's so great to see over 100% for just a lore discussion and stuff. So
for sure.
Thanks, Guy, for being there.
Yeah. So until next time, thank you again as always, and we'll see you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.